And from here, we'll go straight to issues around food security. We'll bring in the Senior Special Advisor on Agricultural Innovation, Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in the Ministry of Agriculture, Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Ademola Adenle. He joins us in our Abuja studios. Prof, thank you so much for coming on the program, and thanks for your patience. All right, I hope, Prof, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, fantastic, Prof. You know, I like to have conversations around food security. You can spend 2 hours, 1 hour talking about food and food security because it's the most basic, it's the most fundamental. Before we talk about anything, in fact, even in war, we have to eat. That's how critical food is. And so having you is quite important to us. But within the time we have, let's see what we can make of it. The inflation numbers, if I'm correct, about 22.7% or so in terms of food inflation. The inflation has been moderating both the core and the headline and then the food, but the numbers are still high. Prices had gone up at some point and then they are coming down, but Nigerians are saying we are not where we used to be. What do you make of our food security situation? Because I can drill down into the smaller unit, but let's start generically. What do you make of our food security situation in Nigeria? Why do we need to still do some importation? Why do we need to do the things we do?
Right. Thank you very much for that question. I think the national food security must be achieved because it serves as the foundation for prosperity and, of course, and stability. And, of course, it must ensure that every Nigerian have reliable access to safe nutrition. And of course, it's strengthening our economy by reducing costly imports, and that is why we need to be food secure. And of course, there is obviously challenges. There are challenges with regards to food insecurity in Nigeria, and government has been working very, very hard to reduce the level of food insecurity by rolling out a wide range of intervention. And I'm going to touch on that at some point. Of course, we are aware of the fact that there is food inflation, high prices of food, which of course, government has been working very hard to address these challenges. If you look at it, food inflation stood at 41% in 2024, but as of last month, it has reduced to 23%. That means, we are stabilizing despite some sort of high prices. And that would not have happened without government intervention across agricultural sector. And let me just give an example of, government rolling out a national mechanization program where it has taken delivery of 2,000 tractors to expand agricultural production and ensuring food security. And no government in the history of Nigeria has done that. I'll give an example of the fact that we have about 17,000 tractors in use, but only 7,000 are functional, right? And of course, we need, some sort of training center to train some of our, personnel in how to use the tractor. And of course, government has been putting initiatives that will help ensure that this is happening. And of course, over the next 5 years, government is going to, launch a program that will bring more tractor to the country and expand the food and agricultural production. That's one of the areas government is trying to tackle food security problem. And the other program across agricultural sector that are engaging youth and women in agribusiness. There is the partnership with IITA, where government effort is focusing on youth scheme that
all right, bro, if I may come in, if you can hear me, bro. If I may come in just a moment.
Provide startup grant.
If I may come in.
And agribusiness
Yeah, my apologies if I may come in because of time.
Yeah, sure.
So you mentioned efforts of government, but my question had to do why we continued to import. But with greater respect, for context, so that people are properly informed, the inflation did not go down from almost 40 to 22 or so because of reforms necessarily. No, it has come down, but it came down drastically. And in economics, we don't really say come down because it was rebased. So I need to provide context to that. So year on year, between now and next year, we'll be able to know exactly what progress has been made. Rebasing brought the numbers to the 20s, although they were in their 30s, almost 40s, depending on the numbers you look at. I wanted to put that in context for the purpose of educating our public. But where I'm going to again, we're happy that, well, some people may disagree, the president has said share is no longer going to be exported, where we begin to look at adding added value. Why do you think we were not aggressive with value addition, especially around our cash crops? And it is now we look like we are waking up from our slumber. And what has to be done to aggressively scale?
Right. That's a very good question. And Nigerians are producing cash crops such as ginger, palm oil, cotton, but they are exported in raw or semi-raw forms. That means there is not enough value addition, simply because of the fact that there is, obviously low capacity in terms of processing and the infrastructural gap as well. So what do we need to do is to obviously invest in research and development program that obviously target industrialization. I mean, there's a huge disconnect between, university, academic, and industry. So we need to close that gap. And one of the things I believe government is trying to do is to engage the Ministry of Science and Technology and of course, Ministry of Agriculture to come up with a bold policy that will obviously encourage research and development program. Because as a percentage of GDP, Nigeria invests, I think, about 0.2% as far as research and development program is concerned, compared to industrialization or industrialized country that invest an average of 2.2%. So I think we need to actually, drive innovation that is obviously involving the university and industry in order to add value addition to this cash crop. And of course, it will help expand agro processing local agro processing and export diversification, because that is very, very important, because you will turn this crop to engine of job, of obviously creating job, and then integrating farmer into global value chain and ensuring global competitiveness. So I guess that area is very, very important. Without bringing, the research community and the industry together, we are still going to be having some problem. And that is why government, we have to work towards investing in research and development program where enabling policy is being created by the government.
You won that award, that Swaminathan Award for Food and Peace from India, and that's beautiful to see. I mean, you're one of many Nigerians making the country proud globally in that sense. But when we come back home, we begin to look at the reality and we try to piece it together and say, we seem to have the brains, we have, well, I'm not sure about the intentions, right, across board, but it looks like everybody wants food, because nobody can survive without food except you're an Android device or a robot, right? So it looks like at least it will make sense that everybody wants food to work. But look at the data, Dr. Dinley. The average age of farmers in Nigeria is nearing Nigeria's life expectancy in that sense. So the average age of farmers is about 50, and life expectancy is, 55 or so. So it looks like our farmers are nearing extinction in that sense. Majority of young people do not think that that is the way to go. So when you talk about investment, are we also considering human capital investment in farming? Because we can talk about research all day, which is very important, but who would activate, who will implement whatever it is we find that we need to do to fix food security in Nigeria?
Right. That's a very good question, and thank you. That primarily target youth in farming. Perhaps we've not been doing that enough, and the government need to create an incentive program that will attract, youth to farming and, of course, agribusiness. And how we get to do that is to obviously, bring youth together and start talking about importance of agriculture in our economic development. And we've not harnessed that potential. And one of the ways to do that is to obviously bring youth on board, then of course create enabling environment, because we need the resources. Infrastructure is obviously very important to agricultural development, road infrastructure, because you need to connect farmer to the market. Without having, road that, farmer can use to take their good from the farm to the market, we're going to have problem. So some of the fundamental challenges has to do with the infrastructure as well, and the building local capacity. Local capacity is also very important, particularly among our scientists. We need to encourage them, giving them all the necessary incentive that will obviously encourage research that is relevant to development of nation. I'll give you an example. I know probably you're going to ask me at some point. We are developing, for example, genetically modified organisms. We don't have enough local scientific capacity that will help regulate it, despite the controversy, despite the benefits and potential concerns that are associated with the application of GMO. So government need to invest more in infrastructure, in local capacity. That is obviously very important. And by so doing, it obviously encourage some of our youth to actually, engage in agribusiness, because that one is very, very important. Without looking at the underlying challenges, we are still going to keep struggling for a long time. And I do believe that, one of the things I've been emphasizing to government is, investing in research and development program, investing in infrastructure development, and investing in human capacity, human capital development. That is always very important. Our primary education, our institution, all of those are critical factors in developing our economy and our agribusiness. Without doing or addressing these fundamental challenges, we can't move forward. And I do believe the current administration is looking at that very carefully, and that is why they are engaging, a wide range of stakeholders, including private sector, policymaker, government official, NGO, to solve this fundamental challenge. Particularly at the national level, because it all trickle down to the local level as well, when it's properly addressed at the national level.
I wish we had a lot more. We keep racing against time when we're discussing issues, but we would have talked about the issue of the livestock sector. I know that I was speaking with one of the gentlemen who is in that sector, talking about the volume of milk we get from each cow, less than 2 liters, when some people are doing 40 liters. And you can know the byproducts, almost 13 of them. But must thank you so much for coming to the program. We must also mention that you made history on the global stage as the first recipient of the World Academy of Sciences and Swaminathan Award for Food and Peace. I think it was awarded by the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, who is presenting the award to you. This looks like, I think it's called the Mini Nobel Peace Prize. So congratulations to you. Maybe some other time we'll have the time to explore you on this particular part of your award.
Thank you very much.
We're proud of you as a Nigerian for putting us on the global stage, and we're happy. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program as well.